Now a decade since the Ed Sullivan Show, McCartney is asked if the Beatles myth can be created again.
We see little bits of each other, but not much, you know.
Is that the way it's going to stay?
I think so, yeah.
Right. Well...
But we might do bits together, you know, we don't know yet. Every time I say that, there's, you know, some paper picks up the headline, "A Beatles to reform," you know.
Right.
Well, you know, so I'm a bit cautious about saying anything, but I think, you know, once we get our business problems sorted, to still being sorted, there's every chance we might just feel like getting together and doing something, you know. I wouldn't like to say what.
Kind of a loose thing, I suppose.
I should think so, yeah. I don't think we'll get together as a band again. I think, I just don't think it'll work, actually, and it might not be as good, you know. So I think everyone would prefer to kind of go on with their own. So I just saw Jerry Lewis talking the other day about Dean Martin. It's a little bit like that, you know.
Well...
But that's going back a bit, you know. But, no, it is like that. I mean, he enjoyed working with Dean Martin, and is now kind of vaguely sad that it isn't on anymore, but he's quite happy with his own career, and so is Dean Martin, you know, so it's a bit like that with me and the Beatles, you know. I mean, it would have been great had it have carried on, but seeing as it didn't, well, what are you going to do, you know, you just...
Do you think it went about as far as it was going to go?
I think so. I think it went full circle, you know.
Full circle it went, and continued into high court. Paul McCartney versus John Lennon, George Harrison, and Richard Starkey. The suit dissolved the Beatles. A row over money and money managers.
Yeah, even the kind of downer moments, you know, when you look back on them, are okay. It's like a holiday you go on, and it rains all the time, but there's one little incident, you forget about all the rain, and you just remember that good night out, you know.
Are you especially pleased with some aspect of what you've done?
Yeah, I'm just chuffed to have got so far, you know, and done so well for so long. Well, you see, I've felt the same since I was about 5 years old. Basically, inside myself, you know. So I still feel myself just that same person, you know. But I mean, old or young, you know, I don't feel kind of young if I see someone age 14. You know, I don't feel kind of like a teenager. But I don't think 30's old. In fact, you know, you go and you meet a 60-year-old fellow and he says, "Wow, I envy you young kids." And you feel young, you know. It's just a matter of who you're with, you know. If I'm with a 5-year-old kid, I feel like a father, or like a figure. If I'm with a 70-year-old fellow, you know, who's telling me how young I am, I feel groovy.
McCartney is interviewed on the 5th anniversary of his marriage to Linda Eastman, an American, a photographer, well known in rock circles.
It feels fine, thank you. What are you going to do now? Is it going to change your life much, do you think? I don't know, really. I've never been married before.
For some, a wrenching thing.
Oh, it's amazing, you know. I mean, there was a period a few years ago and I was dead. Supposed to be dead, you know. Paul is
I
dead.
wanted to ask you about that. Are you...
No, I'm not actually dead. No, not actually. Just a good replica. You know, but I'm not actually dead at this minute, anyway. I've got a farm to tell you about. Would you like to know about that?
Sure. What's it like up there?
It's great. Farm in Scotland. We've got 200 sheep. We shear them each year. We've just gone over to electric clippers. We used to deal with the hand clippers before then.
What a job.
Great, yes. Gets you very healthy about the shoulders. Well, you know, lugging all those sheep around. You know, we're very hot on all that. You know, I like kind of... nature and stuff, you know.
McCartney spends most of his time with Linda and their 3 daughters. Heather, 11, Linda's by a previous marriage. Mary, 4, and Stella, age 2. Paul McCartney is, in a word, a family man.
I was hoping to get a career in teaching at one time. It was the only thing I could qualify for, you know, with my... the exams I passed, I only passed a certain amount, you know, and I could have gone on to teach.
Looking at your life, is there a single most important event?
Not really, you know. I've had a lot of exciting events, you know. Can't really... I think there's been so many, I couldn't just pinpoint one as being the one. Being born was pretty exciting.
Yes. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great. Actually, the funny thing, we got a letter from a woman who knew my mum. My mum was a nurse.
Yeah.
don't know if you're interested in all this, but
Go right
you're
ahead.
asking me. And turns out I was born in a state of white asphyxia. Great. But the woman prayed to God that I would breathe, and suddenly I started crying, and she said, and I bet you've never stopped since. There's a little interesting aside.
Yeah.
White asphyxia.
The woman we can credit for.
That's the one, yeah. She gave me mouth-to-mouth respiration.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
That's
that.
a good way to break into the world.
Yeah, it was. It was all right, yeah.
Yeah.
My first screen kiss.
What's the most important thing that you value?
Just personal peace.
Can you develop that a little more fully?
Not really.
That's what you're looking for in your
Personal peace, you know, in whatever you do. I mean, that could mean with the kids and the family, you know, which is mainly what it means. But in work, too, you know, just to be generally kind of at ease with whatever you're doing, you know, rather than kind of feel like you've got a knot in your stomach. I think most people who write or paint or act or something, they don't know where it comes from. They just know when the word is go, they do it. You know? And if they're any good, they do it well. I write for myself, basically. I just sit down and kind of write something that I like. Now, you see, what happens with me, like, is I get, say on a thing like Eleanor Rigby, I just got the first line, you know, picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been. And then from there on, I kind of developed the song. But often where that first line comes from is anybody's guess, you know. It's not really hard for me to do music. You know, it's just like a footballer, he just kind of does it, you know.
Right.
And I find, like, I do a lot of music. It's just natural to me to do a lot, you know.
You do it all the time.
Keeps coming out.
Yeah,
Can't stop it.
Yeah.
natural response.
Influences from everything.
See that?
Listen, do you hear?
See that? Just like that. Even on NBC. Well, we were on holiday in Jamaica, Linda and myself and the kids now, and we read in a local newspaper that Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen were there. So being starstruck, we thought, well, we'll ring them up, you know, might get a dinner out of it. So that's what we did. In fact, Linda rang them up. She's more hard-faced than I am about that. And we rang them up, and Dustin Hoffman said, come round, you know, and we went round there. And we were just sitting around talking at his house, and he said, how do you write songs? And I said, well, you know, you just kind of write them like you act, really, you know, just kind of do it. Don't know how. And he said, well, no, he said, well, I think it's amazing, you know, how you just do it and all that. He said, could you write it about anything, write a song about anything? I said, well, pretty much, you know, probably, you know, just start on a song about this chair now, if you like, you know, the old brown chair in which I sit. You know, you can kind of make up something about it, you know. And so he said, wow, that's really marvelous, you know, Dustin, if you're watching, Dustin. But he said, I've seen this thing in a magazine about Picasso's death. He said, there's a little piece here, and he said, and these lines really impressed me. Supposed to have been what Picasso said the night before he died. Supposed to have had some friends round for dinner, and he offered them a toast, and he said, drink to me, drink to my health. You know, I can't drink anymore, because his doctor had told him not to drink. And Dustin thought that was like great and very poetic and stuff. So I'm sitting there, just happened to have my trusty axe with me. I'm sitting there, and I started, drink to me, drink to my health. He leaps up on the chest. Annie! He runs off trying to find his wife. He's, the most exciting thing I've ever had happened to me, Annie. Screaming all over the place, you know, so I was chuffed, and I kept writing.
Today, Paul McCartney is rehearsing a new band for a tour of the United States, his first since the last tour of the Beatles.
Yeah, I'm personally interested in getting a nice band together, you know, so as I can kind of play with people, you know, enjoy kind of rocking, you know, just kind of get around, travel and tour a lot. Just as a working band.
Can you develop that a little more fully?
Not really.
That's what you're looking for in your
Personal peace, you know, in whatever you do. I mean, that could mean with the kids and the family, you know, which is mainly what it means. But in work, too, you know, just to be generally kind of at ease with whatever you're doing, you know, rather than kind of feel like you've got a knot in your stomach.